Welcome to the Thought Space. Today we're going to talk about, as some philosophers said, the strongest condition necessary for moral responsibility: free will. Do we really have free will, and what does that mean? Let's find out. So, free will all in all concerns whether human beings have the ability to choose and act freely. So there's a main philosophical problem here, as we could just question if every event is caused by previous events, including our thoughts and decisions, can we even act differently and really be responsible for our actions? So there's a huge tension between causation, moral responsibility, and freedom. So there are many different views that you could just take and have a look at. So let's just start with determinism. So determinism is the view that every event is the result of prior causes together with the laws of nature. Here would be, if we cannot have acted differently, can we still be responsible? There's also the consequence argument, which is again against free will. So it argues that we have no control over the past and no control over natural laws. So if determinism is true, then our consequences are shaped by the past and laws of nature. So if it's true, then we have no ultimate control over our decisions at all, and free will would seem impossible. On the other hand, there's a view called compatibilism that says that freedom and determinism can exist at the same time, as being free does not mean having no causes. It just means that you should live along your desires, values, and reasons. So maybe if someone chooses to study because they value knowledge, does not mean that they have not been shaped by their experiences, but they just act along their values. So an important compatibilist idea would be not to say that I could have done a completely different thing with the exact same psychological state. It would more just say I act along my own values, my own motivations. And the external world around me does not affect that. Harry Frankfurt just challenged the idea of moral responsibility in case of free will. So in its idea, it would say that a person is morally responsible if the action comes from their desires and their identity, even though they could have not chosen differently. So for example, if someone helps a friend because they value them, that would really just show how their character is and who they are. So they would be responsible as it really just reflects the person that someone is. So are our choices even ours if they are shaped by factors that are beyond our control, such like society, culture, childhood experiences, biology, or previous decisions? Let's just go on to an interesting little thought experiment before we're going to end this video with my opinion. It's a bit in the style of Harry Frankfurt. So imagine a person named John. John is going to vote for a candidate that he really likes. Now imagine a scientist that has a device which can just force John to vote for that candidate if he tries to choose differently. However, John never tries to vote differently because he really likes that candidate and votes from his own desires. So now, who is responsible for his action? Is John still responsible for his own voting for the candidate? So Harry Frankfurt would now say, yes, of course. It doesn't matter if there's anything in his environment that could have possibly just changed his mind or just influenced him. His decision came out of his own identity and his own desires, so he's responsible for his actions. So I just think that having a free will and also the chance of even a free will being real is a very complex topic. But I would also say and claim that maybe if we are saying that our free will is now a bit like influenced by society, childhood memories, and biology and culture, and maybe even other aspects that are out of our control, and so our free will cannot really be ultimately free, as they are just factors that we cannot really control. And I was asking myself the question, how would I as a person be without my personal experiences, without my environment trying to influence me, and without experiences trying to shape me? And if a person would not be influenced, that we're now seeing as bad in the view of a free will, would the person even be capable of wanting something, of desiring something, or like even not wanting something? I mean, free will is not always about wanting something, but also like not wanting something, being sure of where you want to go, where you want to stay in life, who you want to be, how you want to change or not. So maybe I think not being completely free, not being completely, unshaped, is not maybe the best scenario or the best case we could just hope for as a human being. So maybe we just need someone who tries to help us, or we need someone who shows us who we want to be in order to free will, in order to act along that. Maybe we need some people that shows who we do not want to be like. So maybe free will is not always about, if we can act freely or not. Maybe it's also about being a bit more aware of everything that surrounds us and maybe seeing it as a chance to grow. But yeah, also talking about now being freely to act, I would also agree that we can mostly always act along our ways if we try to. So maybe if there isn't a way that's really clearly that you are free in your decisions, maybe it's just your responsibility to try to make a new one, to go the path that no one has gone before you. But I also know that it's not always realistic in our society, in our way now, and not in every human life that is being lived now. So I think it's very complex if you can really be free or not. But mostly I would always agree that there is most definitely a chance to have a free will. But maybe it's not always unfree from experiences or the character that you are. But maybe that's good. Maybe that's the case, and that's the point where we are all just happy that we can just experience being a human, because who would we be without our lessons learned, without our little life paths that we've gone through, that we have gone along in our lifetimes, and that we can share. So maybe we're going to be a bit more wiser if we're just a bit unfree. So maybe it's not always a bad thing to not have the ultimate free will. Maybe it would just make us a bit more boring, or maybe just not very human-like at all. Now we've talked about various kinds of perspectives on the topic of if we humans really have free will. In the next video, we're going to talk about consciousness and what it really is. So if you're interested in that, I'll just say see you in the next video.